There is a book sitting in a climate-controlled vault at Yale University right now that no human being has been able to read in over 600 years. Not scholars. Not linguists. Not the NSA. In the 1940s, the same codebreakers who cracked Nazi Enigma machines, the people who broke unbreakable codes for a living, looked at this book and walked away with nothing. In 2013, this thing got fed into artificial intelligence. AI can now write poetry, pass the bar exam, and generate photorealistic faces of people who don't exist. It could not read this book either. So today we're going to open it up, page by page, and look at exactly why the smartest people and machines on the planet have failed for 6 centuries. And by the end, I'll show you the one theory that's got serious academics the most nervous, because if it's true, it means we've been looking at this all wrong. Stick around, because section 3 of this book is the one nobody talks about, and it's the creepiest part of the whole thing. Let's start with the basics, because the object itself is stranger than most people realize. The book is named after Wilfred Voynich, a Polish-American antique book dealer who bought it in 1912 from a Jesuit college in Italy. But Voynich didn't write it, he just found it, and it was already ancient by then. In 2009, scientists at the University of Arizona did radiocarbon dating on the vellum, the calfskin pages it's written on. The result, the pages were made between 1404 and 1438. That's not a guess. That's physics. The animal this parchment came from was alive during the reign of Henry V of England. It's about 240 pages, roughly the size of a modern paperback, filled top to bottom with flowing, elegant handwriting in an alphabet that matches nothing else in human history. Not Latin. Not Greek. Not Hebrew. Not any known cipher alphabet from the period. Around 25 to 30 distinct characters, written fluently, left to right, with no crossing out, no corrections, no hesitation, like whoever wrote this knew exactly what they were writing. That detail matters more than it sounds. Hoaxers hesitate. Forgers make mistakes. This person didn't. And it's not just text. It's illustrated, heavily. Strange plants that don't exist in nature. Naked women bathing in green liquid flowing through tubes and organs. Circular star charts. Zodiac symbols. Little jars of colored substances. Whoever made this spent years on it. And then it disappeared into private hands for centuries before Voynich ever found it. So who had it, and where did it go? That trail is stranger than you'd expect, we'll come back to it. First, let's actually go inside the book. Scholars have split the manuscript into 6 sections based on the imagery, since nobody can read the actual words. Each one raises its own separate mystery. Section 1 is botanical. Over 100 drawings of plants, each with a paragraph of text beside it, presumably a description. Here's the problem, almost none of these plants match any known species on Earth. A handful loosely resemble real plants like water lilies or wild pansies, but most look like fantasy hybrids, roots that don't match the leaves, flowers that don't match the stems. Either this documents plants that no longer exist, plants from a place we haven't identified, or the illustrator was inventing them entirely. Section 2 is astronomical. Circular diagrams that look like star charts and zodiac wheels, packed with tiny figures, mostly nude women, standing in rings around the circles, some holding stars. It reads like an astrological calendar, but the layout doesn't cleanly match any medieval European zodiac tradition anyone has been able to identify. Section 3 is biological. This is the one I mentioned earlier, and it's the strangest section in the book. Page after page of small nude women, submerged in green, bath-like pools, connected by an elaborate network of pipes, tubes, and organic-looking vessels. Some historians think this is an allegory for the human circulatory system. Others think it's about balneology, medieval bathing, and healing practices. Nobody agrees, and honestly, looking at it, you can see why it unsettles people. It looks less like a diagram and more like a ritual. Section 4 is cosmological. More circular diagrams, larger and more elaborate, some folding out to multiple connected pages, a format expensive and time-consuming to produce in the 1400s. Possibly maps. Possibly cosmological models of the universe. Nobody has matched them to any known medieval cosmology. Section 5 is pharmaceutical. Rows of labeled jars, vessels, and containers, next to isolated drawings of plant parts, roots here, leaves there, that don't quite match the whole plant drawings back in Section 1. This looks like a recipe book. For what, we don't know. Section 6 is recipes. Continuous blocks of text, no illustrations, broken into short paragraphs each marked with a small star in the margin, over 300 of them. This is the section most linguists think is the closest thing to plain text in the whole manuscript, and it's also the section most heavily studied by statistical codebreakers. We'll get to why in a minute. 6 sections. 6 mysteries. And connecting all of them is a language nobody can read, but it's not for lack of trying. Here's where it gets genuinely wild, because this isn't just old book, nobody's looked at it closely. Some of the best cryptographic minds in history have thrown themselves at this thing. Start with World War I and World War II codebreakers. William Friedman, one of the most important cryptologists in American history, the man who helped break Japanese diplomatic codes before Pearl Harbor, became obsessed with the Voynich manuscript. He ran a study group on it for years. His conclusion, late in life, was that it was probably an attempt at a constructed, artificial language, not a cipher hiding a message in a known language, but an invented language from scratch. He never proved it. Then there's the NSA. Yes, the actual National Security Agency took an official crack at this. A study was conducted, and declassified decades later in 2011. Trained government cryptanalysts, people whose entire job was breaking Cold War ciphers, ran their standard toolkit against it. No confirmed decryption. And then modern AI and computational linguistics got involved. This is the part people find hardest to believe. In 2013, and again in later studies through the 2010s, researchers ran statistical language analysis on the text, looking at how often certain words repeat, how they cluster, and whether they follow patterns real languages follow, called Zipf's law. The wild result, the text does behave statistically like a real language. It's not random noise. Word frequency, word length distribution, and even something called positional entropy, where certain letters only show up in certain spots in a word, just like real languages, all point to structured language, not gibberish. So here's the paradox that's been driving everyone insane for a century: every statistical test says this is a real language. But no proposed decoding has ever produced coherent, verifiable meaning in any known tongue. It's not that nobody's tried a translation. People have tried dozens. The problem is nobody can prove theirs is right. In 2019, a University of Bristol research associate named Gerard Cheshire published a paper claiming he had cracked it fully. He argued the manuscript was written in a lost, extinct Romance language dialect called Proto-Romance, a kind of ancestor language to Italian, Spanish, and French, used by nuns to write a health manual for a medieval queen. The University of Bristol even put out a press release. Headlines went out worldwide: Voynich manuscript mystery solved. Then actual medieval linguists read the paper. And it fell apart fast. Professional linguists pointed out that Cheshire's translations didn't follow any consistent grammar rule. He seemed to be assigning different sounds to the same symbol depending on what word he needed it to spell. That's not decoding a language. That's pattern matching backward from the answer you want. The University of Bristol quietly distanced itself from its own press release within days. So as of right now, the solved claim from 2019 is considered discredited by the academic linguistics community. The manuscript is still, officially, unread. But that failure is actually useful, because it tells us what a fake solution looks like, and helps us evaluate the real theories still standing. Let's go through what's actually still on the table. Theory 1 is a constructed language. This is what Friedman believed. Someone in the 1400s built an artificial language from scratch, vocabulary, grammar, and all, the way J.R.R. Tolkien built Elvish 5 centuries later. The statistical language patterns support this. The problem: nobody's found the key or grammar rules to actually translate it, and constructed languages this sophisticated were considered extremely rare for the period. Theory 2 is a cipher on a real language. Maybe it's not a new language, maybe it's ordinary medieval Latin, German, or Italian, scrambled through a substitution or transposition cipher. This was the leading assumption for most of the 20th century. The problem: every cipher method known to have existed before 1438 has been tried against this text by professional cryptanalysts, including the NSA, and none of them produce readable output. Theory 3 is glossolalia, a divine or transwritten language. A more fringe theory, that the text was produced through religious ecstatic writing, similar to what's sometimes called speaking in tongues, where the writer wasn't encoding meaning at all in a conventional sense, but produced language-like patterns through a trance or spiritual state. This is controversial largely because it's nearly unfalsifiable. You can't disprove it, but you also can't verify it. Theory 4 is an elaborate hoax. Maybe there's no message at all. Maybe a clever medieval con artist, or Voynich himself, generated meaningless but statistically convincing text purely to sell a mysterious ancient book for a high price to a wealthy buyer. The counterargument: producing 240 pages of fake text that still passes modern statistical language tests, using 15th century tools, with zero corrections, would be an almost inhumanly difficult forgery to pull off convincingly, and expensive vellum wasn't cheap to waste on a prank. Theory 5 is a real medical or herbal text in a lost regional dialect. The plants, the pharmaceutical jars, the bathing figures, all of it fits a medieval herbal and medical manuscript tradition, just written in a language or dialect from a small, undocumented regional pocket of Europe that left no other surviving written records. If true, this book might be the only surviving written trace of an entire vanished language. Every one of these theories has real, credentialed defenders. And that's the actual headline here: after everything, Enigma codebreakers, the NSA, modern AI, nobody has been able to eliminate any of these 5 options. Before Voynich bought it in 1912, the manuscript's ownership trail runs back through some seriously powerful hands. Historical letters suggest it passed through the court of Rudolf II, the Holy Roman Emperor, in Prague in the late 1500s, a man famously obsessed with alchemy and the occult, who reportedly paid an enormous sum for it, believing it might be the work of the 13th century friar Roger Bacon. From there it moved through Jesuit scholars, got tucked away in a college library in Italy, and sat there, unread and half-forgotten, for roughly 250 years, until Voynich walked in and bought it in 1912. Today, it lives at Yale University's Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library. You can actually view every page of it. Yale digitized the entire manuscript and put it online for free, for anyone in the world to try their hand at it. Which means the door is still open. So here's where that leaves us. A book that's older than the printing press. Verified by carbon dating, not guesswork. Statistically proven to behave like real language. Studied by the same minds who beat the Nazis' best ciphers. Fed into modern AI. And still, 600 years later, completely unread. Every solved headline so far has collapsed under scrutiny. Every serious theory is still alive. Nobody's been able to rule anything out. Which means whoever wrote this, nun, alchemist, con artist, or something else entirely, is still, 6 centuries later, the only person who's ever understood their own book. If you've got a theory, I want to hear it in the comments. Seriously, some of the best amateur analysis on this manuscript has come from random people online, not professionals. And if this kind of unsolved mystery deep dive is your thing, subscribe, because next week I'm covering a script even older than this one that we did manage to crack, and the story of how is even stranger.